So Oleksandr Usyk does the dub. He is still undefeated and still unified heavyweight champion of the world after scoring a second victory over Tyson Fury. I think at this point, after following back-to-back defeats to Oleksandr Usyk, Tyson Fury should be rebranded. No longer is he the Gypsy King. He is now the Pikey Pauper, in my opinion. I jest. That's just a little bit of rage bait for the mentally ill Tyson Fury fanboys who are obviously going into meltdown. But it's always good to poke a bit of fun at them. Let's talk about this fight. Let's go straight in. I have just watched it. Um, it's still fresh in my memory. I like to give my immediate thoughts just as like my first impression after watching the fight, and of course being able to revisit it later on when replays are available to see if there's any difference. But I'm going to talk about the scorecard straight away because just as I've logged on to like Google and I'm looking for an image for the thumbnail that I'm going to upload, I'm seeing headlines like controversial, Tyson Fury storms out, robbery, and I'm just thinking, "Oh, no, I don't see that. Let's be real. What I saw, all three judges giving it 116 to 112 to Oleksandr Usyk, a unanimous decision. I think that's absolutely on the money because that's exactly what I had on my scorecard. I had it 8 rounds to 4 in favour of Oleksandr Usyk. So, as I say, I think the judges spot on. And there were some concerns in the lead up to this fight because of the very overt pro Tyson Fury bias that had been displayed by basically the organisers of the event. But those concerns turned out to be, no needs. They weren't concerns at all because, in my opinion, this match had very fair scoring and officiating. So I fully agree. At least in my immediate impression, the right man won, and the right man won by the right amount. And it's seen people say like, "Oh, robbery! Oh, it's no way that close." I'm sorry, you just don't know what you're watching. You're probably one of these people who wants to see Tyson Fury win that badly. Like, I predicted Oleksandr Usyk would win the first fight, and he did. I predicted win this fight, and he did. But that's because it's just an educated guess. I said in the video when I had a bad feeling that we might see something a bit fishy in this fight. I said, I don't care who wins, just as long as the winner does it fair and square. And so, if Tyson Fury would have won fair and square, fair play. Like, good on him. But he didn't. I think there was a very clear Oleksandr Usyk win. Yeah, 8-4. That's what I had it. And it was the rounds that Tyson Fury won. I think I gave him one of the early rounds, two of the mid rounds, and then maybe one of the late rounds. So it's kind of scattered throughout the fight. There were competitive moments in this fight. Like Oleksandr Usyk, he did have to work for his offense, but I think ultimately, when you look at the sheer amount of clean, effective punches, Oleksandr Usyk outlanded Tyson Fury quite considerably, and just across more rounds, and therefore he won the fight. Um, in terms of how the fight went, I think it was how many people expected. We did see the adjustments, particularly from Fury, in terms of holding his ground, not going back so much, pressing forward at points, being more assertive. However, I just don't think they weren't consistent enough. That was the issue because we saw the success that he had when he stood his ground, when he pressed forward and made it a bit more physical and was lot more assertive with his punches. But it's not that easy to maintain when you've got a guy in front of you like Oleksandr Usyk who moves around, who's a threat himself because he's such a good counter puncher and is so accurate with his punches. I don't think Oleksandr Usyk could miss to the body. And that's one of the things that everyone talks about size. Oh, Tyson Fury's so much bigger. Oh, he's so much heavier, so much taller, so much rangier. It's like, okay, but how can he actually use that? Because I spoke about in the lead up to the first fight for ages how bigger's not always better. Sometimes when you're in against a guy who's smaller than you and you have a size advantage over him, if he understands how to use his size disadvantage, quote unquote, to his advantage, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Yeah, Tyson Fury's big and he's strong and he's heavy, but he's also less coordinated. He's also slower. He's also less reactive. You know, his reflexes aren't as good. His coordination's not as good. It takes him longer to have to control those long levers. Whereas you have a relatively compact fighter like Oleksandr Usyk, everything's direct, everything's snappy, everything's accurate. He's poised. And that's exactly what we saw in this fight. I actually think Usyk was sharper in this fight. Just based on what I saw, I think in the second fight, sorry, in the first fight, I think he slowed down a bit, whereas in this fight there was a bit more edge to his movement. And I think his conditioning was better. However, on the flip side, I think Tyson Fury was a bit more resilient. I think he stood up to the offense in this fight a bit more, even though he got hit with so many body shots, flush body shots. You know, he's going to have some sore rib cage tomorrow because he took a lot of flush punches. And I don't know whether that's why people see this as controversial, because they discount body punches. Body punches are scoring shots. As long as they land correctly, they are still valuable scoring shots. And Oleksandr Usyk landed a lot of them. I think he landed even more body shots in this fight than he did in the first. I think he landed probably considerably less. I haven't seen any stats, but I think he landed less headshots in this fight because Tyson Fury, once again, to his credit, made the adjustment. He was able to cover up his head a lot more. Still got hit with some punches, obviously. Like, it's boxing at the end, so you're going to get hit. But he didn't get hit with the same volume of very hard, very stinging left hands and jabs from Oleksandr Usyk. Because I know in the first fight, when he got clocked with that big left hand that busted up his nose, a lot of people made a big song and dance about it. Like, oh, Tyson Fury was winning the fight until he got hit with that one left hand and then it all went tits up. What are you talking about, you retard? Like, firstly, Tyson Fury was losing a lot of the early rounds. And then he got hit with that big shot. And yes, it clearly caused him a lot of distress. But fuck it, it's a fight. What do you expect? Like, you get hit in the face and you can't deal with the damage, or it disrupts your boxing. Like, suck it up. You're in a boxing match. Like, I don't understand why people are making such a big issue. Obviously, these people weren't rational. They weren't objective. It's because they wanted Tyson Fury to win, so they were scratching around for any excuse. But anyway, let's not get into a rant about that. Tyson Fury made the adjustment in this fight. However, towards the end, you could see the body shots were starting to slow him down. Although there were instances where he landed plenty of his own body shots. Tyson Fury did some good work in here, but it just wasn't enough. It was few and far between. It was like, they were like pot shots that Tyson Fury would just be able to set up out the blue. Whereas with Oleksandr Usyk, he had that very systematic, very tactical approach to get into Tyson Fury. As I spoke about this in the pre-fight video, where Tyson Fury is an artist. You know, he feels his way through a fight. He does what he thinks he needs to, relies on his instincts, tries a bit of trickery to set up punches. Whereas Oleksandr Usyk, he's methodical. He's a scientist. He understands what he's looking for. And as soon as he gets that, he'll work off it. And if he needs to make an adjustment, he will. He's got contingencies. And not to say that one's better or worse, but in this matchup, you could see how the technician in Oleksandr Usyk just had more routes that he could use to get to Tyson Fury. Whereas with Tyson Fury, you know, he would sometimes try one of those pot shots and they'd land, or maybe they'd be partially blocked, or maybe he was able to do a quick setup. But as I said, it's few and far between, and nothing he could really capitalize on over long spells of the fight. I think I mentioned that out of the 12 rounds, I gave one of the early rounds to Fury, a couple of the mid rounds to Fury, and then one of the late rounds. So it kind of scattered throughout the entire fight, whereas the really consistent effort came from Oleksandr Usyk. And I think he was just a clear winner. I'd be real. Like, anybody who says that, you know, it was a robbery, Tyson Fury should have won, or it was a very controversial decision, I've got to say, like, as the kids would say these days, that's an L take, in my opinion. That's a bad, you know, that's wrong. I have absolutely no problem with the scorecards. Right man won, and by the right margin, I think. Just ultimately, Usyk's just a better fighter than him. He lasts longer. He's just as tough, but he has the work rate. He has the skill that's more consistent. He lands more punches. That's the be all and end all, and he gets hit less. Not to say that Tyson Fury didn't have any success. He did, but it just wasn't enough. You know, sometimes he'd start a round well for the first minute and a half, but then Oleksandr Usyk, you know, this is a veteran. This guy is at the top. and he can read a fight. If he knows he needs to step on it to just catch that round and just land a few more punches more than you, he'll do it, and that's what happened. So yeah, that really is the fight. Excuse me, voice is a little bit sore, but there we go. I don't think there's really many more thoughts I have in my head. Obviously, I'm trying to revisit this one at a later date once I'm able to watch the replay and stuff. But I think it is what it is, you know. No controversy in my opinion, which was a little bit of a concern going in, but here we are. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Can't really think of anything else I want to say. A good fight, an intriguing fight. I was never really too up for this rematch. You know, I thought, of course, I'm going to watch it, but there was no real controversy, in my opinion, in the first fight. Right man won. The only controversy actually was that it was a split decision when it shouldn't have been. It should have been a UD like this one was. So, nevertheless, kind of onwards and upwards now. I think the Tyson Fury chapter's been put to bed. Oleksandr Usyk, what's he going to do next? I think he should just retire, if I'm honest. Like, I know Daniel Dubois got in the ring after the fight and he was calling him out. Like, Daniel, yeah, you're on a good run of form, but all we have to do is cast our minds back to August 2023, and you got buoyed by Oleksandr Usyk, and I can understand why Dubois wants another crack, but stylistically, has Dubois improved enough? Because he really didn't have all that much success. Like, he had some success, but Usyk was clearly in control of that fight. But obviously, that's a topic for a different video. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you, like me, think right man won by the right margin? Happy days, we move on. Or do you think there's some kind of controversy? Maybe you can make a compelling case, but I'll be honest, I think the people calling controversy and robbery especially probably clutching at straws. But nevertheless, leave your thoughts down below. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.